$1 million to HBCUs. I think that's really cool. HBCUs deserve that money. I'm glad Apple and Google gave it to them. I'm going to give you the pros and cons of receiving such a gift from a big, gigantic corporation in 1 second. So hit the thumbs up, buckle up your seatbelt. We're about to get started on the Black Financial Channel right now. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm your friendly neighborhood finance professor. On the Black Financial Channel, we talk about black wealth and economics every single day, sometimes as much as 10 times a day. You don't have to be black to be here, but there is one condition. You must understand that we live under the B1 philosophy. B1 means that we must put the black community at the top of our priority list. We must solve our own problems instead of waiting for Superman. B1 means that we believe black people can be number one in economics and wealth building and financial literacy within the next 50 years. B1 also means that in order for us to be successful, we must be one. That means be one together, work together, collaborate, resolve conflicts, and learn how to love each other. If you agree with that philosophy, put a B1 in the chat, hashtag B and the number one. That's the calling card. Good morning, Michelle Morgan and Atiba Carr, Shunton Quiller, Michael Stallworth. The philosophy of hustle, the Don, says by the Bell Diemeyer, Amir, Urban Baptiste. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Okay, so I'm about to today. I'm flying to Philadelphia. I'm doing an event on NFTs. I'm doing a panel on NFTs with Jay Ortiz. NFTs with Jay Ortiz. That kind of rhymes. And anyway, if you want to know more about the event, just come to my Instagram. My Instagram is the Real Boyce Watkins. The information's right there on that page. And so if you're interested in NFTs, which seem to be the next big thing in Ethereum, then join us in Philadelphia. It's going to be Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, and I'm going to join a panel at Art from the Heart Studios. There's my Instagram right there in case you want to follow me. So, how many of you? Give me a yes or no. Give me a yes or no. How many of you saw that Google and Apple are giving $50 million to various HBCUs? How many of you saw that? Give me a yes or no if you saw that story. It's in Black Enterprise. And I thought it was great. You know, I'm really happy to see these schools get that money. Lord knows HBCUs need the financial support. A few years ago, I gave Dr. Dre a real hard time over the fact that he gave, I forgot what was it, 100 million or whatever dollars to USC. And I thought that was the craziest thing in the world because black people are the ones who need the money. We ain't the ones who are supposed to be buying up the bar for white people. We ain't supposed to be out here, just making it rain on white folks. They're doing okay. They're gonna be all right, even if we don't make donations. But we make a lot of donations to the white community. We spend money in their businesses, and we love to go work for their corporations to give away our human capital. The NCAA extracts $1 billion a year out of the black community, and that's just the beginning. That don't even count things like prison labor and all the other ways they sneak wealth out of you, student loans, all these things, right? So all these things are designed to ensure that that other people stay rich while you stay broke. That's just the fact. And I want to kind of help you understand that so we can dissect this as we kind of try to process this gift from HBCUs. See, here's the thing about money. Here's the thing about money. Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button right now because I'm about to drop you some gems. In exchange for those gems, all I ask you to do is hit the thumbs up or subscribe button to support the channel. But only intelligent black people, only people that want to be better. If you don't want to do better, then I don't want you here. But if you are in that category, hit the thumbs up button. Here's the deal. One simple rule about money is very basic. The rapper Immortal Technique said this, and I agree with him 100%. All money ain't good money. All money ain't good money. Now, why do I say something so basic? You're like, of course, boys. Everybody knows that. Well, the reason that I say it in such a basic way is because sometimes we need to be reminded of the basic stuff to understand the more complicated stuff. I've learned the most advanced mathematical theories that you can imagine. I understand finance at a very high level, and one thing I can tell you for sure is that most of the advanced stuff is nothing more than a complex set of building blocks from the very basic stuff. No differently from the way the human body is nothing more than a collection of tiny little atoms and protons and neutrons and electrons that all just sort of come together and form this mass called the human body, right? So when I say all money ain't good money, the reason I say that is not because I think that Apple and Google's donation is bad money. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that this is garbage. I'm not saying that Apple and Google are a bunch of rats. I'm not saying that they're trying to play you. I'm not trying to say any of that. I'm simply trying to make a basic point that just because you receive a bunch of money doesn't mean you need to start doing the happy Juneteenth slave dance in the hallway. Lord Jesus, Lord, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord Jesus. We got some money. Thank you, boss. What I got to do for that money? He's like, Lord, the money go, did you Jesus gonna come home? Jesus gonna come home. Right? You start singing the Negro spirituals in the hallway because you're so happy that somebody wrote you a check. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know, you know what I mean. Tell me if you know what I'm talking about. Like black folks that are just happy to get money and aren't thinking about what strings could be attached to that money. I'm bringing it up because I see a lot of folks that get happy because they got a good job or they got some resources, and you don't understand that white folks don't push their money around without expecting something in return. You know, it's like if you're a 16-year-old daughter. I got some beautiful daughters, man. My daughters are so pretty. The prettiest. They take after their mama, and their mama, when their mama was in her teens, she'd walk into a room, all the men would just fall to their knees. Well, my daughters have that same beauty. They inherited that same beauty. And here's the deal: if one of my daughters came home to me and said, yeah, I met a nice boy, and he bought me two Gucci bags, and a pair of diamond earrings, I wouldn't be happy. I'd be concerned. I'd say, well, what does he expect in exchange for that Gucci bag? What he gave you the diamond earrings? Those are expensive. What's the agenda here? What's the agenda? Big money typically does not arrive without an agenda, right? And so as we talk about things like a black agenda, you have to understand that the black agenda only exists because we've had to, for 400 years, we've known that there's been a white agenda. The white agenda has been power. The white agenda has been based on economic growth for the white community. The white agenda is based on a capitalist model that sometimes oppresses other people for the benefit of a select few individuals. Right. So when Apple and Google walk up and they say we're going to write checks that are bigger than damn near anybody in the history of your institution, other than another white lady by the name of Mackenzie Bezos. I believe that's Jeff Bezos' wife. I believe that's her name. God bless her. She gave billions. I have nothing against this lady, but when they walk up and say we're here to write a big check, you just got to ask that question: what's the agenda here? All right. So here's what I see as the agenda. Um, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe button. I gotta acknowledge my brother who just made a donation. He says, Dr. Boyce, I have a strong gut feeling about Shiba Inu. Yeah, Shiba Inu. I think that's another Dogecoin alternative cryptocurrency. That's kind of just a test to see if people are crazy enough to buy another crypto that has absolutely no fundamental value whatsoever. But hey, if you want to buy Shiba Inu, bro, go ahead and do it. Just know you're gambling. That's not an investment. That's a gamble. But that's okay. It's okay to sometimes gamble, because I'm going to Vegas next week. Gambling's all right, but I bet your ass I ain't gonna be gambling with my family's wealth. I'm gonna be gambling with my spare money, bro. So I'm not telling you that Shiba Inu is terrible. I'm not telling you that you're stupid. I'm just saying that understand that there's a difference between an investment and a fast money gamble. You got to be cautious. All right. So here's what I want to kind of lay out, and I want to put your comment up here, brother. He's a Morehouse student. Much respect to the Morehouse men. He's in a student movement to work with these companies, and I think that that is awesome. I think that there's so much you can learn from all these companies. I really do. And there's nothing wrong with Apple and Google coming through the door because they possess a lot of expertise that you can benefit from. Now, here's the challenge. When Let me just explain it with a story. When I was at Indiana University, I was on the faculty there for a little bit. Well, I was a graduate student there, and I taught there, but I wasn't actually a full professor. I was a professor at Syracuse, not Indiana, but I did study there, and I taught classes there and all that in the business school. I remember one time going into a building, right, and I saw that there was a big sign that said this building was, the result of a $50 million grant or donation or whatever from some company. I think it was Eli Lilly, right? And I was like, why would Eli Lilly go out of their way to give away $50 million to build a building? What sense does that make? Why would you do that? You can't tell me you're doing it because it's the right thing to do, because that doesn't make any sense to me. Like I don't get that. Um, and I thought about it, right? And I realized that in addition to making this big donation to buy this building, this company, I believe it was Eli Lilly, it might have been another one. I think it's Eli Lilly because Eli Lilly, I think they have corporate headquarters right there in Indiana. Um, The other, in addition to making this big donation, this company was also one of the biggest recruiters on campus. They were one of the companies that would hire lots and lots and lots of students, which is a good thing. It can be a good trade, right? So they give money to the school and they tell the school, look, we need you to train more people in this particular area. And that is because we want to have more employees to come work for our businesses. Right now, Isaiah says it's a tax write off. That is a benefit, but I'm never going to give money away just for a tax write off. If I give money away, like for example, there's an organization in Louisville, Kentucky, where I'm from called Black Achievers. Um, and I'm going to give them a donation. Not a massive one, but it's a decent amount of money, and I get the tax write off. But a tax write off does not mean free. Tax write off does not mean the money's free. A tax write off is like a discount, so it means you give away $1 and they give you back 40 cents. So I don't know of any smart investor who would give away $1 just so they can get back 40 cents or 30 cents or whatever, right? So you don't give away money just for the tax write off. You either give money away because you feel strongly about the cause, and that's how I feel about Black Achievers. Black Achievers was the reason that I got a scholarship to go to college. Nobody wanted me. I couldn't go to HBCUs because my grades weren't good enough. I didn't have any money, and Black Achievers took a chance on me, so I owed them for life. So I am going to come back and make sure that I take good care of that organization. Right there in Louisville, Kentucky. Look them up if you live in the city. It's a great, great organization. And so when you think about Apple and Google giving $50 million to HBCUs, you want to make sure you read the fine print on that. So here's what I'm reading when I look at the fine print. I read the article. It's in Black Enterprise. You're welcome to go take a look. Basically, what I'm seeing is that Google and Apple are making the donation partly because I think they understand it's the right thing to do, right? So I'm not going to take away the altruistic nature of the donation. I'm not going to assume they're doing it because they're a bunch of corrupt bastards. I'm not saying that at all, but I think that I do think that this whole sort of reckoning, this whole racial thing that's been happening is finally translating into money. I've been saying this from the very beginning. I don't really care if you stand in the streets and tell me that Black Lives Matter. I don't really care if you put a Black Lives Matter sign on the door of every corporate office. I don't really care if you somehow acknowledge what the horrible things you've done to Black people. I really kind of just want you to cut the check. Like Lorenzo says, I want reparations, which should come from corporations and from the government, not just the government, not just corporations. It should come from all institutions that benefited from slavery. That means all the churches should be writing checks in the tens of millions. I'm talking per institution, right? What universities? A school like Harvard should be writing a 5, 10 billion, maybe $4 or $5 billion check. Not 50 million, not 20 million. I'm talking about billions, in the billions. Your endowment is what, 25, 30 billion. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's 50 billion by now. Well, 5 billion of that, give that to Black people and the Black community who are building Black owned businesses that are hiring Black people. I know that's not going to happen. I just want to set a standard. One of the reasons we have challenges is because we don't set standards. I think we should negotiate hard when it comes to getting what is owed to our people. And then also, here's the other thing too. Companies like Apple and Google make donations to universities typically because they're looking for employees, right? Being an employee at Apple and Google is not a big problem. There's nothing wrong with being an employee, right? This is not job shaming. But here's the problem that you have. Here's the issue that you have. This is why white supremacy is so sneaky. One of the problems with white supremacy is that you think that your solution to overcoming white supremacy is to go work for more white people. You've been trained to believe that the best way I can deal with racism from white people is to economically depend on white people. You've been trained to believe that the best way I can get away from systematic racism is to invest my life and depend everything, my financial well-being and security, on the white supremacist system. Give me a yes or no if you understand what I'm saying. Say yes in the chat so I know I'm not talking over anybody's head. I know some people think I talk, they say, well, Doc, you be using them fancy words. You be talking over people's heads, man. Well, I'm not trying to talk over your head. I'm just trying to not insult your intelligence. I'm assuming that you understand that what the up is up and down is down, and that what you've been doing so far hasn't worked. You see, here's the issue. Here's the challenge that you have. Apple and Google are going to hire tons of Black people out of these HBCUs. God bless them. I mean, that's wonderful. But they ain't doing, they're not really doing you that much of a favor. I'm not saying that they're not doing you a favor at all. Don't get me wrong. When I was 22, I'd have jumped at a job with Apple or Google. I would have jumped at a job like that. So imagine that. So let me use myself as an example. When I was in college, I was the number one finance student on the entire campus. I was better than all the white people. I won the Wall Street Journal Outstanding Graduating Senior Award in Finance. I got 3 majors in 4 years and 2 bachelor's degrees. I could have got 3 bachelor's degrees. I just didn't want to take 2 more classes. And I worked a full time job, by the way. I was the shit, right. I was the what, right. I was on top of everything. I would have jumped at a job with Apple and Google. And imagine if Apple and Google had done what makes sense, right? Racism makes you stupid. Racism, unfortunately, causes white people to not see talent and opportunity with black people, right? So because of racism, I didn't get the job opportunities I deserve. But imagine if racism wasn't there. Imagine if they'd said, look at this kid, look at this guy. He's working his butt off. He studies 6, 7 hours a day. I mean, I wasn't into all the nonsense. I wasn't into the partying and the step shows, and I would go to one every now and then. But I was like, y'all can party and BS. I'm about to go out here and be a millionaire. I'm about to go out here and be successful. So I was that nerd. I was that guy, right? Ladies, y'all wouldn't have liked me back then because I was just a bookworm. Now I did meet my wife in the library. Shout out to my wife. But seriously though, I was not trying to be cool. I was trying to win. I said, I don't want to be cool at the age of 22. I want to be cool at the age of 42. Right. And believe me, by the time I was 42 and had a ton of money in the bank, I was the coolest kid in the room. Okay. So here's the deal. So imagine if Apple and Google had come up and said, God, this kid is so awesome. We want to hire him. We'll pay you a 6-figure salary, bro. And we'd love to have you come down to the company, dude. We think you'd be awesome, bro. Yeah. Yeah. Right. I would have jumped at that. Right. I'd have been so happy to take that job. And let's say that instead of, doing what white people sometimes do, instead of all the stupid racism that they drop on you, the microaggressions and all this other stuff they do to make your life a living hell, where you become part there's a term for this. They call it the angry black middle class. These are the black people who did all the right things, who went to college, who got all the advanced degrees, who got the jobs and are still pissed off. Right? Why are you mad, bro? Why are you mad? You got a master's degree, you got a JD, you got an MD, like you have all these letters behind your name and you're making 6 figures. Why are you mad? Well, because you found out that that racism is not going to give you a process to escape racism. That committing yourself to systematic racist institutions is not going to help you escape the wrath of systematically racist institutions, right? So you're going to work every day with people who hate your guts. And here's the other thing. If I had gotten that job and if they had treated me well, I never would have become the man that I am today. The man I am right now, and I don't know what I am. I mean, some people think I'm a bastard. Some people hate my guts. I know this. But guess what? I got a lot of people that love me. And even my haters respect me. My haters know who I am. They sit around speaking my name out of every other breath. So that must mean I'm having an impact. I can go to cities all around the globe and be recognized on the street in cities that I've never even visited in my life. I can buy whatever car I want, whatever house I want. I have had an amazing career, right? And that all came because I wasn't accepted by that system. I was rejected by the system and had to find my own pathway to success. That pathway to success came through entrepreneurship. That pathway to success came through the ownership of assets. That pathway to success came through reconnecting with my people in a systematic way. That pathway to success came by going off the grid, not by being accepted in the grid. So now, no, don't get me wrong. If I were a mediocre guy, if I didn't have a heavy work ethic, if I wasn't an ambitious black man, then maybe that other path would have been good for me. Maybe getting a job with Apple or Google could have been a wonderful thing, right? But here's the thing: in your community, you have young black people who are smarter than Mark Zuckerberg, the creator of Facebook. In your community, you have black people who are as smart as the guys who created Google. In your community, you have young black people who are supposed to be the next Elon Musk. And here's what's going to happen if you don't change the paradigm in terms of how these young people are engaged at these HBCUs and white universities. If all you're doing is training them to become employees, then all the greatness that they would have achieved in their life will never come to fruition. It will never happen because you're going to make them too comfortable. It'll be no different from when you have a 22-year-old who could have went out and conquered the world, but he got real comfortable staying in his mama's house. When he's sitting in his mama's house, still on the nipple, still living off his parents, he never gets a chance to learn how to really fly and become the man that he's meant to be. Some of y'all got men like this. Shout out to the women who are taking care of your men because your men are little boys, right? Some of these men out here need to send Father's Day cards to the baby mama's boyfriend because the boyfriend is taking care of your kids, not you, right? So the point is that if you don't put these kids in a situation where the good ones, the great ones, don't have opportunities to create capital bases and systems and industry and companies that will hire other black people, then you will see no progress from any of this. You see, here's the deal. Here's the deal, black people. Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. Apple and Google are going to hire a lot of black people, but it ain't like this is the first time black people got offered jobs. Y'all been getting offered jobs since slavery. It's just over time the jobs have gotten better. They don't spit on you as much. You're not treated as badly as you were in 1972. But they've always been offering you jobs. And jobs are cool, for temporarily. But I don't train, I'm gonna tell you, I learned how to train my children to become millionaires. We don't talk about getting jobs. I don't train them to go and give their best intelligence and labor and capability to their employer. I talked to my 10-year-old about building a capital base. My 10-year-old wants to be an actress, a singer, dancer, a music teacher, and an engineer. And I said, babe, you can be all of that. But as daddy, I'm going to help you build a capital base so you can do whatever you want. You see, understand this. Pay attention, black people. Are you listening? Give me a yes if you're listening. Give me a yes to let me know you're listening. America is a capitalist society. America is run by the people that have the capital. Now, I'm not telling you to become a capitalist. I told you guys, I'm not a capitalist. I'm not a Marxist. I'm none of that. I don't accept these white-owned labels on who I am. I'm just Dr. Boyce Watkins, the black man. I'm B1. That's what I am. But the people with the capital have the power. And so when a capitalist comes up and says, we're going to give $50 million to your university so you can train us to give us more employees. And the heads of these universities say, okay, that sounds wonderful. That's not exactly a power move for the black community. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that it's terrible. I mean, it's going to give you what a job gives you. You're going to be just over broke. But pay attention to what your students are learning at these universities. Howard University, for example, it has been for 40 years. They have been located just a few miles away from Dr. Claude Anderson, the author of Powernomics, one of the greatest economic minds in all of American history. His book has influenced the entire world. Seriously. Ice Cube, when Ice Cube called me, he was trying to get in touch with Dr. Anderson. When Kanye West called me, next thing he asked me was, hey, can you give me a chance to talk to Dr. Anderson? They were tweeting this guy out because he is one of the greatest influencers of all time when it comes to black economics. But Dr. Anderson talks about the realities of systematic racism. He talks about the realities of Juneteenth. He talks about the realities of how much wealth was stolen from black people and makes the case for reparations. So because his ideas are so raw, they become very dangerous. So as a result, Howard University has invited in probably, I'm sure, 1,000 white people, random white people who are teaching you how to go get a job, but not once have they invited Dr. Anderson to come in and even give a speech. Do you think that there's something a little bit wrong with that? Do you think that that could be seen as a problem, or am I just being the asshole in the room by bringing up the obvious? Am I a jerk for simply saying, why do you run away from black people who are accepted by millions of black people as that person who gives them that eureka moment that helps them understand where real power resides? Do you think that maybe the reason that there's such a blatant rejection of these ideas is because those who have the power don't want you to have any? They don't want you to have any. So my challenge to the HBCUs is, I know you're good at producing employees. I think that's great. But I need you to get educated on how capitalism works and understand that in a capitalist society, you cannot have true power in the community when you're producing a whole generation of employees, a whole community full of worker bees, a whole community full of people that are trying to get under somebody else's umbrella so they can just contribute to the building of someone else's business. So what so here's the deal. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. And by the way, at 10 a.m. Central, or which is actually 11 a.m. Eastern, we're doing a stock market investing class. If you want to join us and submit questions to me about the stock market, we're going to talk about the stock market for an hour and a half. Go to the blackstockmarketprogram.com. The URL's on the screen, the blackstockmarketprogram.com. We meet every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern for class. There's 6 years of really deep curricula on stock market investing. You would love that very, very much. Here's what I'm saying about this gift. I'm not at all shaming the fact that Apple and Google gave all this money to HBCUs. I think it's wonderful. The reason that I think there needs to be a deeper conversation about this and a little more economic awareness and economic consciousness is because as I read deeper and I see what Apple and Google are seeking to do with this collaboration, I applaud Apple and Google. I'm happy for them that they're seeing the genius in Black people. They're seeing the gold mines where some of us don't even see the gold. I'm very happy that Apple understands the value of these young people. We know that they're tremendous, but I don't want our people to get sold off cheap. And one thing I know is that these companies are making these donations because they want these schools to generate more employees that they can eventually hire. Uh, when you have a job, you can't pass that job down to your children. You can't pass. The best you can do on the job is you can put in a good word with the manager in hopes that they'll hire your little cousin and give him a job, right? When you talk about working for other people, that is not a power play for Black people because Black people have been getting jobs since slavery. And in fact, if you look at the training of most of our young people in most universities, including many HBCUs, and maybe this is changing, and I hope that this is changing now, you're not really seeing as much in terms of the development of an economic base for the Black community. You're seeing people that are being trained to go work for other people. So, if you really want to see Black people benefit from this kind of move, you have to train more entrepreneurs. You can't train business managers without training people on how to start a business. If you're trained to be a business manager, but you don't know how to start a business, then effectively, if there are no businesses in your community for you to go manage, you have to go over across town and manage a business for a white guy. That's a lot like slavery, where you're managing the big house. You become the house Negro, and that's your goal, right? So, what I'm saying is that when you're looking at the way college students are trained, I'm saying this as a person who's taught on college campuses for 25 years or more than 25 years, uh, you'll notice that while there's plenty of training on how to be an employee, I don't see a lot of training on business development. I don't see a lot of conversation about what it means to build wealth, what it means to build a capital base, what it means to build a family bank, to do all the things that you need in order to be successful in a company, in a country that's driven by capitalism. So if Apple and Google really wanted to impress me, they wouldn't just give $50 million to HBCU so they can create more employees. If they really wanted to impress me, they would write a multi-billion-dollar check to Black business owners so that people like myself, or not even myself, people like myself. It wouldn't have to be me. I know I'm radical. I know that I'm the asshole in the room. I don't want any of their money. But people who think like me, who can develop business incubators that will then train Black people to build the companies that can hire other Black people and then give them millions in funding for their small businesses so their businesses can actually grow. Pay attention now. When I need y'all to listen, this is only for the people who are going to get it. Like I said, I only appeal to about 10% of my community because a lot of people don't want to hear this kind of message. They think that I'm just being a jerk, or some of this is honestly just ahead of its time. It's not an elitist thing, but I want the Black elite. The Black elite are not the people who have more money or more education. The Black elite to me are the people who really want to be Black, who really want to try hard, who really want to take chances to build our people up. So if you're in that elite, this message is for you. What you really need in your community is you need an economic base. That's what you need. So pay attention. There's a reason why it's much, much, much easier for you to get a student loan than it is for you to get a business loan. Why in the world is it so simple for an 18-year-old to get $100,000 in debt, that debt that they can almost never repay? Again, this becomes sharecropping. That's what they call that sharecropping, where you borrow more money than you can repay and you work the land until you're dead and you never repay the loan. That is predatory lending. So you can give an 18-year-old $100,000 in debt to go get a college degree, to go get a certificate, to go work for a big white-owned company, but you can't give that same kid 20 grand to get his little business off the ground. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious? That doesn't make any sense. So what I'm saying to you at the end of the day is that when you're talking about this economic game, you have to be able to play chess. If you're playing checkers, you're gonna get played every time. You're gonna get schooled. You're gonna get dropped. You're not gonna succeed. You're not gonna win. What's gonna happen is you're gonna be constantly confused because you're gonna say, "Damn, they gave all this money, and they hired all these black people, and we still haven't closed the wealth gap. Well, why has that not happened? Why isn't that happening? I mean, think about this. You're getting black politicians. You have thousands of them. You're getting black employees everywhere. You have black people at the highest echelons of entertainment. Yeah, black people that are CEOs of major corporations. You got black people in all kinds of fancy places. Am I right or am I right? So process this. How is it that you have all these alleged so-called successful black people, but when you look at the status of the median black family in America relative to the median white family, no progress has been made since the 1960s. It's because you're doing it all wrong. It's because the people that you think are going to close the gap are not in a position to close the gap. Do you guys know? I've said this before on this channel, but I'm going to repeat it again for those who are new. The average black college graduate defaults on their student loans. They can't even pay back the student loan debt. Forget empire building. You can't even get past the basics. I'm not dissing you. I'm not making fun of you. I'm really, it's almost like when you see a child do something that doesn't make any sense, you look at their mama, you look at their daddy, you say, who trained that child? Who taught that child to talk like that? Who taught that child to act out like that? So when I see black people in the so-called middle class, I'm talking about the educated fancy Negroes. I'm talking about the ones who got the master's degrees and the bachelor's degrees and the nursing degrees and all these fancy degrees that are supposed to make you part of the talented tenth. You're supposed to be the leaders of the community, right? But here's the thing: you get out of school, you're saddled with a ton of debt. Half of those graduates never repay the debt, which means they have bad credit. They can't build much of anything. When your credit's shot and you have no cash and capital, you're kind of done. You're not taught basic things like multiple streams of income. So that also means that you aren't overcoming the white supremacist system. You're dependent on it. You're supporting the system because you need the system. The system is what's feeding you and your children. When you're living paycheck to paycheck with that $80,000, $100,000 a year job, you're living paycheck to paycheck because you bought the fancy car and the fancy clothes and all these other stuff, but you never put the money into the stock market. You never developed multiple streams of income. You never got into the real estate. You never started the business, and in fact, you never gained the skill set to even do any of those things because those are things they don't teach you in college. So here's my point. Here's what I'm saying, and this is what we're trying to address in the Black Business School, is that there's nothing wrong with Apple and Google giving money. There's nothing wrong with you being into technology. There's nothing wrong, even if you want to go work for them. I think that's great. Go learn what you can. I think that's wonderful. But just know that the bougie educated Negroes are not the ones who are going to get us out of this economic mess. The ones who went to college, unfortunately, are the ones who are failing the most in many cases because they're the ones who have the most debt. And it's illegitimate debt. It's damn near illegal. Who said that it should cost you $80,000 a year to go to college? So what has to happen is that you must understand a basic idea. Here's a basic idea I'm gonna leave you with, and then I'm gonna finish up this conversation. You're not white. You're not white. I know this is hard for some of you to absorb. I know this is hard to accept and understand. And I know this is probably even weird that I'm saying this, but you ain't white. And the reason I have to remind us that you ain't white is because being black means you've got a different problem to solve than the white guy. Being black means that you don't get the same benefits from that college degree that the white guy gets. Being black means that there's an economic system that's built for them that's not really built for you. Seriously, I mean, being black kind of means you got to think a little bit differently because your community needs something different from you than the white community needs. The white community already went through their phase where they needed to build the businesses. Brigham Young and the Mormons, for example. The Mormons had a phase when they first got to Salt Lake City, I guess 200 years ago, where there were no businesses. So everybody had to be a business owner. Everybody had to build a business because there were no jobs. There was no way to just get a degree and just go work for somebody because there were no companies to work for. But they went past that phase. Now, right now, Salt Lake City is one of the richest cities on the planet. Now, if you want to just go get jobs in Salt Lake City, you're good. There's thousands of businesses that will hire you because the infrastructure is already there. Your community does not have infrastructure. You need infrastructure. So when these companies roll up and they say, we want to write a $50 million check to HBCU so they can give us more black employees, I would challenge them to say, I need you to also create a $250 million capital fund that can be used so that when these young people graduate from college and when we have them trained on entrepreneurship and investing and real estate, they can tap into this fund to get those businesses off the ground. We don't need more classes. We need incubators. We need to build our base. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Give me a yes in the chat if you get what I am saying to you. So I think that it's great. I think that Blank Slate, you're 100% correct. This is a collaboration. He says, I see this donation as a collaboration with Apple and Google. I think that's awesome. And I love it. I think that's a wonderful thing. I have no problem with the collaboration. I'm saying that that's not going to be enough to pull black people out of the economic hole that we're in. We've had collaborations before. We've always had white folks showing up bearing gifts. That's not new. That's just not new. I mean, I thank God it's just the same model kind of taken to a higher level. That's what it is. You're doing more of the same. White companies gave money to HBCUs 50 years ago. That's how they survive. HBCUs are not economically independent. I wish that they were. And in fact, actually developing that economic base, one thing that could do is free up HBCUs so they're not dependent on corporate donations and government funding in order to exist. Harvard University could not get a single penny from any corporation or any government entity and still be a multi-billion-dollar entity. Now, don't get me wrong; they would take a hit, but they've got billionaires in the bankroll. They got billionaires in a damn Rolodex they can call up who will write a check for 500 million in a second. So where are the billionaires in the black community going to come from? Where's the next black Elon Musk? Where are the black Mark Zuckerbergs? Where's the black Bill Gates who's going to go to an HBCU and say, I got you. Here's 100 million. You don't have that. You don't typically have that when you have a community filled with employees. So I'm just trying to tell you to do what that lady said in that song, Russell Wilson's wife. I forgot, Sierra. That song, that song, Level Up? And it level up, right? I need black people. I just need you to level up. Can you level up for me? And somebody said, what's an example of a healthy collaboration? That I've seen recently? I can't think of any, honestly. I don't know. And I'm not saying I'm not saying this is a bad collaboration. When you have nothing, then a job is a good thing to have when you have nothing. But a job is not all that there is. Once you have plenty of jobs, the question is, what's next? How do you level up? Well, you level up by becoming the damn boss. America is not a society that's designed to empower its workers. It will only empower workers so much. And this ain't even just a racial thing. This is just an American capitalist thing. Workers' wages are dropping. Workers are losing power in this society. So when your community is dominated by workers and doesn't have a lot of entrepreneurs, then you're going to have a lot of issues. So I want to see more entrepreneurs. If you want to know what my solution for the black community would be and what we're pursuing in the Black Business School, which, by the way, you can go talk to our people for free. You can get started for free in the Black Business School. It doesn't cost you a nickel. We have PhDs. We have attorneys. We have millionaires. We have hotel investing experts. We have crypto experts. We have all kinds of experts in every area. The black community is filled with smart people, just so you know. The reason the Black Business School is able to do so well is because we have so many smart people in our community who have training from college. Black people love going to school. We love getting educated. Like those of us who are really getting it done, God bless you, because our community is really good at going out and getting those degrees. And I think that's beautiful. So in the Black Business School, we're able to tap into so many amazing experts because we have so many Black folks. They have training in so many areas, from taxes to estate planning to everything else. And we just partner with them. But then also, you have another class of Black people that don't get the respect they deserve, and that's the entrepreneurship class. These are the people who maybe didn't go to college, but they're building the business that's employing Black people. These are the people who might be, say, I don't know, part of the Moorish or the Hebrew Israelite community, where they believe in economic independence, and they are doing it. They're getting the damn thing done. But you don't listen to them because you're like, well, I don't listen to these conscious Black people. These Black people, the conscious community is a joke to me, right? Well, the only thing outside of being conscious is to be unconscious. So when you say you hate consciousness, you're kind of saying I want to be unconscious. Well, unconsciousness is how you got to where you are right now. By not being economically conscious, when deals like this happen, then effectively you get played, you get screwed. You end up on the short end of the stick and you don't know why. So you've got Black folks out here. I'm gonna tell you, like Howard University, I use Howard as an example. The greatest graduate that I know from Howard University is not somebody like Diddy. I don't even know if Diddy graduated, and I'm not dissing Diddy, but Diddy's not, to me, the beacon of light that Howard produced. I mean, I'm sure he's a nice guy. To me, the greatest graduate I know from Howard is a guy named Sharif Abdul Malik. Sharif Abdul Malik was a social work student, I believe, at Howard. And Sharif went out and created We Buy Black. And We Buy Black has put millions and millions and millions of dollars into the Black community by helping build hundreds, if not thousands, of businesses that are out here hiring Black folks. And so Sharif is the guy that Howard needs to be inviting in as the commencement speaker. Like, not some guy who is a vice president at JP Morgan Chase. Because the vice president of JP Morgan Chase, there's nothing special about that. He's a Black dude that got a fancy job working for white folks. Good for him. But one job helps one person. One job helps one family. One job does not employ thousands of people. So what I want to see within the next generation is I want to see your celebrities and your hoity-toity Negroes, all the Black folks that got all the credentials and all the so-called success. I don't want to hear them bragging about how they got a job in senior management at Apple. So what? big big deal. Tons of people have already done that. Good for you. Good for Apple. How about that? Good for Apple. I don't want to hear them bragging about how they got the fancy house in the suburbs and they're on the cover of some magazine. I want to hear the leaders and the high achievers of our community bragging about the fact that they employ 10,000 Black people. Show me, you want to impress me, show me the Black man or Black woman who said, I employed 300 Black people. Show me the Black man or Black woman who says, I employ 1,000 Black people in the hood. Show me the Black person who can say, I've got businesses in my community now, so that when these kids come back to the hood with that fancy degree, they can come and work with our corporations right in our community and not have to go across town and give away all of their human capital to these organizations that belong to their oppressor. Because let's just make it clear. The reason white people are so rich is partly because you make them rich. You don't just make them rich by spending all your money with their businesses. You make them rich by giving them all of your employees. You make them rich by giving them all your young people. You sacrifice your young people and send them over to work for these companies. And so when your son is over there working for Apple and making $100 an hour, Apple's making $500 an hour. So that is what you call a wealth transfer. That is what is called, according to Dr. Anderson, it is the doctrine of unequal exchange. You got to be smart to see that. Some people don't like it. Some people think I'm hating on Apple. They think I'm hating on Google. They think I'm hating on HBCUs. I'm hating on none of that. I think that these deals are a great first step. But there's a point where you got to stop making first steps and you got to take the second, third, fourth, and fifth step. But in order to do that, you're going to have to evolve your thinking. And that's where our HBCUs are still coming up a little bit short. But it's no disrespect to our HBCUs at all. But I would say to any young person who's hearing what I have to say, any young person who's listening to me right now, I'm telling you, being a long-term employee is not the pathway to wealth. A university will almost never teach you how to be a millionaire. You got to learn that on your own. It's just like, for example, you can go to basketball camp and learn how to dribble a basketball. You can go to any playground or any high school and learn how to shoot. But if your goal is to win an NBA championship, you can only learn that in special spaces. You can only learn that from Michael Jordan. You can only learn that from a LeBron James. You can only learn that from somebody who's actually done it. So when you're talking about becoming an economic champion, that means hitting that millionaire status. That means hitting that boss status. That means having enough economic independence that you could tell any white man on earth to kiss your entire black ass. That FU money. That FU money, that meaning that you have enough money that you can tell anybody to FU and you can walk away. To get to that level, you need special training. And that does not come from a university, typically. The only time universities teach you that is if you're going to the elite institutions. The way the elite institutions teach their young people is very different from the way regular schools teach. Regular schools teach you how to become an employee. Elite institutions teach you how to be the boss of employees. Regular schools teach you how to go and become a worker bee. The elite institutions teach you how to manage worker bees. So get that millionaire training if you really want to hit the highest heights. But maybe everybody isn't interested in that. I don't know. But I definitely think that any black person that wants to be free has to understand the connection between ownership and freedom. If you own nothing, then you are not free. I don't care how good your life is. So go out here and own something. That's the key. So everybody type the word ownership in the chat. Ownership, 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 ownership. That's our word for today. I'm done talking. Thank you guys for listening. Please hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button. Visit us in the blackbusinessschool.com. Feel free to do that. Also, I'll be in Philadelphia this week speaking at Art from the Heart Studios, and we're doing a panel discussion on NFTs, which is the next step in cryptocurrency. So if you'd like to join us, just go. The information is on my Instagram. My Instagram is the real Boyce Watkins right there. So follow me on Instagram. And we also have intelligent conversations. So if you like that kind of thing, you can follow me as well. But also the information about the Philadelphia event in 2 days is right there. So take care, guys. Love you. Have a good day. I'll see you soon. Take care. Peace.